Imagine this. You've just driven off the lot in a brand new truck. The smell of fresh upholstery still filling the air. You're thinking about all the adventures you'll have, the heavy loads you'll tow, and the memories you'll make. But fast forward just a few months, and that shiny new engine is now a ticking time bomb. You're stranded on the side of the road, staring down a repair bill so massive it feels like a bad joke. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, for thousands of truck owners, this isn't a hypothetical. It's a harsh reality. Some engines are so unreliable, they don't even make it to 50,000 miles before giving up completely. And when you factor in the rising cost of repairs, replacement parts, and even lost time, owning one of these disaster-prone engines can feel like throwing money into a black hole. But here's the kicker. It's not just one or two engines. From Ford to GM, Chrysler to Nissan, even brands with strong reputations have had their fair share of catastrophic flops. Some engines have gone down in history as the absolute worst, not because they didn't promise greatness, but because they failed to deliver even the basics. So what are these engines? What makes them so problematic? And most importantly, how can you avoid the nightmare of owning one? Stick around, because in this video we're breaking down the least reliable truck engines that won't even last 50,000 miles. Whether you're in the market for a new truck or just curious about what to steer clear of, this is information you can't afford to miss. Let's get started. The infamous Chrysler 2.7-liter V6. Let's kick things off with one of the most infamous engines in truck history, the Chrysler 2.7-liter V6. This engine was marketed as a marvel of efficiency and innovation in the early 20s. It powered popular vehicles like the Dodge Intrepid and Chrysler Sebring, but instead of earning praise, it became a cautionary tale of what happens when engineering goes wrong. The biggest culprit? Oil sludge buildup. Imagine changing your oil on time, following all the manufacturer's recommendations, and still ending up with an engine clogged with gunk. That's the reality owners faced. The issue stemmed from poor engine design that couldn't handle heat dissipation effectively. Over time, this led to critical components overheating, failing, and turning these engines into ticking time bombs. But it didn't stop there. Another common problem was timing chain failure. Unlike belts, timing chains are supposed to last the life of the engine. Yet with the 2.7-liter V6, the chain often snapped before the 50,000 mile mark, leaving owners stranded and staring down repair bills that rivaled the cost of the car. What's worse, Chrysler was slow to acknowledge the problem, leaving many loyal customers feeling betrayed. It's no surprise that this engine is now a go-to example of what not to buy if you value reliability. Ford's Triton 5.4-liter V8. Next up is an engine that's practically a household name in the truck world, the Ford Triton 5.4-liter V8. This engine powered some of Ford's most iconic vehicles, including the F-Series trucks and Expedition SUVs. It was supposed to be a workhorse, built to withstand the rigors of daily driving and heavy towing. Instead, it became notorious for a host of problems that left owners pulling their hair out. One of the most infamous issues was the spark plug blowout problem. Imagine cruising down the highway when, bam, one of your spark plugs shoots out of the engine like a bullet. Not only does this disable the vehicle, but it also leaves behind a hefty repair bill. Replacing the spark plug threads often required a complete cylinder head overhaul. And that's not all. The 5.4-liter e-Triton was plagued by oil consumption issues, which led to engines running dangerously low on oil without warning. This in turn caused catastrophic engine failures, often well before the 50,000 mile mark. The cherry on top, timing chain tensioner failures that made these engines sound like a rattling tin can at idle. Despite these flaws, Ford stuck with this engine for years, much to the frustration of loyal customers. For many, it was a painful lesson in how even a trusted brand can drop the ball. GM's Vortec 5300. Let's talk about GM's Vortec 5300, an engine that powered heavyweights like the Chevy Silverado, Tahoe, and Suburban. On paper, this 5.3-liter V8 looked like a solid choice, promising a blend of power and efficiency. But in reality, it left many owners with more headaches than horsepower. The most glaring issue? Excessive oil consumption. Imagine having to top off your oil every few hundred miles because your engine burns through it faster than you can pour it in. GM initially blamed drivers, suggesting they weren't maintaining their vehicles properly. But as complaints piled up, it became clear that the problem was due to a flawed piston ring design. This wasn't just an inconvenience, it led to severe engine damage over time. When engines run low on oil, critical components like bearings and pistons wear out prematurely, often leading to total engine failure. And let's not forget about the cylinder misfire problem, which caused engines to shake violently and lose power unexpectedly. GM eventually faced legal action over the Vortec 5300, with lawsuits alleging that the company knowingly sold defective engines. While the lawsuits resulted in settlements, the damage to GM's reputation was already done. Nissan's 5.6-liter Endurance V8. Rounding out part 1 is Nissan's 5.6-liter Endurance V8, an engine that powered models like the Nissan Titan and Armada. This engine had all the makings of a success story: powerful, durable, and built to compete with the big boys in the truck market. But it didn't take long for cracks to appear in its armor. One of the most significant issues was catalytic converter failure. These components are essential for reducing emissions, but in the 5.6-liter V8, they had a nasty habit of breaking apart internally. The debris would then get sucked back into the engine, causing severe damage to pistons and cylinders. For many owners, this meant total engine failure. Overheating was another frequent complaint. Despite its robust design, the 5.6-liter V8 struggled to keep cool under heavy loads or in hot climates. This often led to blown head gaskets and warped cylinder heads, repairs that can easily cost several $1,000s. For Nissan, these reliability issues were a major setback. The company had hoped the 5.6-liter V8 would cement its place in the truck market, but instead, it became a glaring weak spot in its lineup: Dodge's 6.7-liter Cummins diesel. Dodge's 6.7-liter Cummins diesel engine has long been a favorite among heavy-duty truck enthusiasts. Its reputation for power and towing capacity made it a top choice for those needing serious capability, but lurking beneath its tough exterior were issues that caused financial nightmares for many owners. The most common problem? Turbocharger failure. These engines rely heavily on their turbos to deliver the power and efficiency that buyers expect. When the turbo fails, not only does performance drop dramatically, but the repair costs can exceed $5,000. And unfortunately, turbo failures weren't uncommon, often occurring well before the 50,000-mile mark. Another major issue was fuel system failure, specifically with the high-pressure fuel pump. These pumps are critical for diesel engines, but in the 6.7-liter Cummins, they were prone to catastrophic failure. When this happens, metal shavings can contaminate the entire fuel system, requiring a full replacement that costs upwards of $10,000. And then there's the diesel particulate filter clogging issue. These filters are designed to capture harmful emissions, but in the 6.7-liter Cummins, they often clogged prematurely, leading to reduced performance and expensive replacements. Toyota's 3.0-liter V6 diesel. For years, Toyota has been synonymous with reliability, but even they aren't immune to engineering missteps. The 3.0-liter V6 diesel, used in models like the Hilux and Land Cruiser, is a prime example of how even the best brands can stumble. The most notorious problem? Injector failure. These components are responsible for delivering fuel to the engine, but in the 3.0-liter V6, they were prone to leaks and malfunctions. This often led to carbon buildup in the engine, which could cause misfires, reduced performance, and even total failure. Despite Toyota's reputation for standing behind their products, many owners felt abandoned when these issues arose. Warranty coverage was often limited, leaving customers to foot the bill for repairs that could easily run into the thousands. Owner horror stories and industry reactions. For many truck owners, an engine failure isn't just an inconvenience, it's a personal and financial catastrophe. Imagine relying on your truck every day for work, only to have it break down unexpectedly. That's the harsh reality for countless owners of these unreliable engines. Take the infamous Ford Triton 5.4-liter V8. Owners have reported spending upwards of $5,000 on repairs for issues like timing chain replacements and spark plug blowouts. And what about the GM Vortec 5300? Some drivers faced engine replacements that cost over $7,000, all due to excessive oil consumption that left their engines running dry. Then there's the Nissan 5.6-liter Endurance V8, where catalytic converter failures often led to catastrophic engine damage. One owner described spending over $10,000 to replace an engine that had been wrecked by debris from the faulty converter. And these are just the direct costs. Factor in lost workdays, towing fees, and the emotional toll. And it's easy to see why these engines have left such a bitter taste in owners' mouths. Stories like these highlight a critical issue. These aren't isolated incidents. When the same problems occur across thousands of engines, it's clear that manufacturers didn't just miss the mark. They ignored the warning signs altogether. The manufacturer's response. So how have the manufacturers responded to these widespread issues? Let's just say it's been a mixed bag. Take Chrysler's 2.7-liter V6 for example. Despite mounting complaints about oil sludge buildup and engine failures, Chrysler was slow to take responsibility. It wasn't until years later that they quietly issued technical service bulletins, leaving many owners to fend for themselves. Ford, on the other hand, attempted to address the Triton 5.4-liter V8's issues by redesigning components like the spark plug threads, but the fixes came too late for thousands of owners who had already suffered costly repairs. Worse still, many felt that Ford's communication during this process was lacking, adding insult to injury. GM faced a similar situation with the Vortec 5300. After years of complaints and even legal action, the company offered extended warranties for some affected vehicles. But critics argue that these measures didn't go far enough, especially for customers who had already spent thousands on repairs. And then there's Nissan. Rather than acknowledging the catalytic converter issues in their 5.6-liter endurance V8, they seemed more focused on shifting blame to drivers, claiming improper maintenance was to blame. This lack of accountability has only further eroded trust in the brand. Industry experts speak out. What do the experts have to say about these engine failures? Mechanics and industry insiders have been vocal about the root causes of these issues, and their insights are eye-opening. For starters, many point to cost-cutting measures as a major factor. Automakers, eager to maximize profits, often skimp on materials or rush designs to market. Take the GM Vortec 5300 excessive oil consumption issue for example. Experts have linked it to the use of low-quality piston rings, a decision likely made to save money during manufacturing. Another common criticism is the increasing complexity of modern engines. While advancements like turbocharging and direct injection have improved performance and fuel efficiency, they've also introduced new failure points. The Ford EcoBoost 3.5-liter V6 is a prime example. While it offers impressive power, its turbochargers and direct injection system are notoriously prone to failure, leaving owners with expensive repair bills. And then there's the issue of reliability testing. Many experts argue that manufacturers are cutting corners when it comes to long-term durability testing. Instead of identifying potential issues before a new engine hits the market, they're relying on customers to act as beta testers, a strategy that has clearly backfired. Lawsuits and legal battles. When automakers fail to take responsibility for defective engines, it's often up to consumers to fight back through legal channels. Over the years, several class action lawsuits have been filed against manufacturers for the engines we've discussed. One of the most notable cases involved GM and the Vortec 5300. After years of complaints about excessive oil consumption, a class action lawsuit was filed, alleging that GM knowingly sold defective engines. While the case resulted in a settlement, it left many owners wondering why GM didn't address the issue sooner. Ford has faced similar legal challenges over the Triton 5.4-liter V8. Owners argued that Ford's design flaws, like the infamous spark plug blowouts, should have been addressed through a recall. Instead, Ford opted for piecemeal fixes that often left customers footing the bill. Nissan hasn't escaped legal scrutiny either. Lawsuits over the 5.6-liter Endurance V8's catalytic converter issues have accused the company of negligence, with some claiming that Nissan knew about the defect but chose not to act. And these legal battles highlight a troubling trend in the automotive industry. When engines fail, it's often the customers, not the manufacturers, who pay the price. What to avoid when buying a truck? Buying a truck is a big investment, and choosing the wrong engine can turn that investment into a financial disaster. So how can you avoid ending up with a lemon? First, do your homework. Research the engine in any truck you're considering. Look for reviews from long-term owners. Check reliability ratings from trusted sources. And don't be afraid to dig into forums where real owners share their experiences. Second, watch out for red flags. Engines with a history of excessive oil consumption, timing chain issues, or turbocharger failure should be approached with caution. And remember, just because an engine is marketed as innovative doesn't mean it's reliable. Finally, don't overlook the warranty. A strong powertrain warranty can provide peace of mind, especially if you're buying a newer model with unproven reliability. Just make sure you read the fine print. Some warranties come with restrictions that can leave you on the hook for costly repairs. Alternatives to problematic engines. The good news? Not all truck engines are created equal. While some are notorious for their reliability issues, others have earned a reputation for durability and performance. Take Toyota's 5.7-liter V8, for example. Used in the Tundra, this engine is often praised for its bulletproof reliability. Similarly, Ford's 6.7-liter Power Stroke diesel has proven itself as a workhorse, offering impressive power and longevity. For those looking at GM, the 6.2-liter Ecotec 3 V8 is a solid choice. It's known for delivering excellent performance without the reliability concerns of the Vortec 5300. Can automakers rebuild trust? The question on everyone's mind is, can automakers rebuild trust after years of engine failures and reliability issues? The answer isn't simple, but there are promising signs. Many manufacturers are investing heavily in new technologies to improve reliability. Advanced materials, better manufacturing techniques, and more rigorous testing are all steps in the right direction. That said, trust is earned, not given. Automakers will need to prove that they're prioritizing quality over profits if they hope to win back skeptical customers. Choosing the right truck engine can make all the difference. By doing your research, avoiding known problem engines, and opting for reliable alternatives, you can protect yourself from costly repairs and unnecessary stress. And remember, while no engine is perfect, some are far better than others. Knowing what to look for and what to avoid can save you from becoming the next victim of a reliability nightmare. Long-term ownership nightmares. Owning a truck is a significant investment, but for some, it's become a financial sinkhole due to unreliable engines. Imagine spending over $50,000 on a brand new truck only to have it turn into a money pit within the first few years. Unfortunately, this nightmare is all too real for many truck owners. Take the case of one GM Vortec 5300 owner who experienced catastrophic oil consumption. The engine needed to be replaced shortly after 50,000 miles, resulting in a repair bill of over $7,000. Similarly, a Dodge 6.7-liter Cummins diesel owner faced turbocharger failure, which required repairs costing nearly $5,000 and resulted in weeks without their truck. These aren't just one-off inconveniences, they're devastating blows to owners' budgets and livelihoods. For small business owners who depend on their trucks for daily work, engine issues translate to significant losses. Every day a truck is in the shop means missed jobs, lost income, and mounting frustration. For these individuals, an unreliable engine doesn't just cost money, it disrupts their lives. The emotional strain of owning a problematic truck goes beyond financial costs. For many, a truck symbolizes reliability, strength, and independence. When these values are shattered by constant breakdowns and repairs, the impact can be deeply personal. Take the story of a Ford Triton 5.4-liter V8 owner who experienced multiple spark plug blowouts and timing chain failures. Of dollars on repairs and receiving little support from the manufacturer, they swore off the brand entirely. Similarly, a Nissan 5.6-liter Endurance V8 owner described missing family events and critical work deadlines because their engine failed during crucial moments. These stories highlight the importance of trust between manufacturers and customers. When automakers prioritize profits over reliability, they risk alienating their most loyal supporters, a mistake that can take decades to repair. Ripple effects on the automotive industry. Unreliable engines don't just affect individual truck owners, they have far-reaching implications for the automotive industry as a whole. Declining consumer trust in major brands like Ford, GM, and Nissan creates opportunities for competitors like Toyota to capture market share. Toyota, known for its reliable engines, has seen its reputation grow as other manufacturers falter. The financial impact of widespread engine failures is also significant. Class action lawsuits, warranty claims, and lost sales due to damaged reputations cost automakers millions or even billions of dollars. These setbacks force companies to rethink their priorities and invest in better quality control and customer service. Moreover, the rise of social media has amplified the consequences of engine failures. Frustrated owners now have platforms to share their experiences, influencing potential buyers and shaping public perceptions of brands. The reliability issues plaguing these engines have provided automakers with valuable lessons. Chief among them is the realization that cost-cutting measures and rushed production schedules can lead to disastrous long-term consequences. The financial fallout from unreliable engines far outweighs any short-term savings. To address these issues, manufacturers are investing in advanced materials, improved testing protocols, and more transparent customer communication. While these steps represent progress progress, rebuilding trust will take time and consistent effort. The shift toward electric trucks. The rise of electric trucks is transforming the automotive industry. Unlike traditional combustion engines, electric powertrains have fewer moving parts, theoretically reducing the likelihood of mechanical failures. Brands like Tesla, Rivian, and Ford with its F-150 Lightning are leading the charge, promising vehicles that are not only efficient, but also more reliable. However, electric trucks face their own challenges. Early adopters have reported issues with battery degradation, limited charging infrastructure, and software malfunctions. While these problems differ from those seen in traditional engines, they underscore the fact that no technology is immune to teething pains. A major issue in modern trucking is the growing fight for right-to-repair laws. As engines and powertrains become more advanced, manufacturers have increasingly restricted access to repair tools and software, leaving many truck owners reliant on dealership services. Advocates of right to repair argue that consumers and independent mechanics should have the tools and knowledge needed to maintain vehicles without relying on manufacturers. These laws would reduce repair costs, increase vehicle longevity, and empower owners to take control of their trucks. Some automakers have resisted these changes, citing concerns about safety and intellectual property. However, the push for transparency and accessibility is gaining momentum, with several states already enacting right-to-repair legislation. Truck buyers have the power to influence the industry by demanding better reliability and transparency. When considering a purchase, prioritize brands with strong warranties, proven track records, and clear communication about repair and maintenance costs. It's also essential to research specific engines and models thoroughly. Look for patterns of complaints, check long-term reliability ratings, and read first-hand accounts from other owners. The more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to make a decision that avoids the pitfalls of unreliable engines. Despite the challenges of the past, there's reason to be optimistic about the future of trucks. Advances in technology, combined with growing pressure from consumers, are pushing automakers to prioritize reliability and customer satisfaction. Whether it's through electric powertrains, improved manufacturing techniques, or greater transparency, the next generation of trucks has the potential to be the most reliable yet. For owners, the key is to stay informed, demand better, and make choices that reflect a commitment to quality and dependability.